What's up you guys, I'm Teslie. Welcome to my channel, and today we are doing a Q&A while I do my makeup. So if you want to see how I get this makeup done and also like all the juicy questions that I got, just keep watching. Alright, I'm going to start with a little bit of background for all of the new people that are here. One question that I saw quite a lot was about my origin story, both like where I come from, where I live now, and also what made me start YouTube. And I'm from Curacao. I was born and raised there. After that, when I was 19, I went to the US to study biology. After that, I moved to the Netherlands to do my master's. And then I started working, and then I got stuck here in the Netherlands. So I live here in the Netherlands now. It's been 10 years. I can't even imagine, like when I came here for my master's degree, I was like, okay, 2 years and then I'm gone, back to Curacao to work. But I guess once you start working and you get like your your things going right here, your group of friends, I don't know, it becomes more and more difficult to go back. And now that we bought the house, it's going to get even more difficult. It's not impossible, but honestly, like I also saw a question about if I could live somewhere else, where would I live? And that's like a difficult question, because for me, because I've lived in a couple of countries now, I don't think there is a perfect country. I already have 2 homes, one in Curacao and one here in the Netherlands. And because I lived a couple of years in the US, I would like to have a house or like a little apartment there as well, preferably on the West Coast. But New York is also like kind of cool. So if I can one day own a property, like 2 properties, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, that would be a blessing. But I don't think there is like one perfect country that I would restrain myself to. Why? Because there are so many beautiful countries in the world. So why, limit yourself in that way? If you have the opportunity to travel and do all of that stuff, you will see that there are so many good countries in this world, and every single country has like its own thing, I would say. Like the Netherlands, the weather is like one thing that really sucks. But other than that, like everything is so well organized here. Like, I don't know, I just have a peace of mind that is priceless right here. Like just in the social security, realm of things. You have your health insurance is well taken care of. If anything happens to you on the job, you're insured for that. Just things like that you don't have to stress about working. Like I do work because I love nice things, but it's not like a stress. I don't know how to really explain it, but in some places, like for some people like in the US, but also like other countries, you have to work because it's like your life really depends on it. And here it's a little bit different, I would say, at least in the space that I'm at. I'm not going to say it's like that for everybody, because I know I have like some privilege that I enjoy, but honestly it also comes with some hard work that I managed to, get to this point. But it's not as stressful as like a survival, like work to survive, like work to like figure out every day what am I going to eat. It's just the cost of living is like very low, and especially like when you compare it to Curacao. In Curacao they have to import everything, so everything is like so expensive, just also because it's like a tourist country. Everything is like very, very exaggerated when it comes to the pricing. So, and you don't even earn that much, at least not the majority of the population. So honestly, like for some people, I don't even know how they survive, because it's very, very expensive. Rent is also expensive, also in the US. Like if you want to live in one of the big cities. Here the housing is kind of expensive, but it's still pretty doable. Well, now it is a little bit of a crisis, but if you compare it again to other big cities, it is not as crazy. If I can take like a little bit of the good of all the different countries where I lived. That would be perfect. Like when we were in San Francisco, we were there for like 6 months. I loved the area. Like we went to Sausalito one weekend, to like Napa the other weekend. Just there is so much to see in that area, and the nature is like so diverse, and that's what I loved about that area, you know, just being in the more in the nature, and just the diversity of it. Because in Curacao you have like beautiful beaches and the sun and all of that, but it is very this is, you know, the same of the same, because it's a very small island. But if you have like a, you know, the whole West Coast at your disposal ish, honestly, that's a dream. Like if I can live 3 months here, 3 months Curacao, 3 months, I don't know, San Francisco or Santa Barbara, that area, that would be that's really, really, really my dream. So I'm putting that out there. But going back to the question, and I can already feel that this video will be a little bit all over the place, because I feel like, you know, I'm just catching up with a friend, and I hope that you get that same vibe too. The reason why I started my YouTube is because I was in 2019. I had my job going, and I really liked my job, but I felt like my life was too much about work, home, and that's it. Like I didn't have a hobby. I also wanted to make a little bit more on the side and figure out like something that I love doing. So for me, it was kind of a way to discover what I love, and like a passion, like something that I can really do passionately, and at the same time earn a little bit more with that, because I always like wanted to build something of my own. So I really loved fashion, and I really loved watching fashion videos, but I didn't really see a lot of people that looked like me. So I was like, you know what, let me just start this and see where it goes. Now we are 4 years later. I still really, really love what I do. Even at this point, I'm like thinking of going full time. I'm not really sure yet, but that would be like really a dream of mine, to really do this full time, because it's like really something that I love doing with my whole heart. That like I put so much hours and energy and money into it, and I don't know, I still like after these years I do it with so much love. Like I eat, sleep, dream of fashion and creating things and videos. And another question that I got was if I would start like a actual product, like a physical product company now, what would it be? And I was thinking of like fashion line, or you know, a clothing line with some essentials, but I don't know, I think that is just a little bit too much for me right now at this stage. Maybe one, you know, I'll never say never, but at this point, if I would start something, it would be something that has to do with home decor or home fragrance. I think that's something that's a little bit more manageable, that I can really, you know, get my hands dirty and really try to figure all of that out, and do something a little bit, you know, different than all the other home fragrance brands that are out there. So that's like something that I would like to do one day. All right, now let's get into the more personal stuff. I don't mind that, because I do realize that you guys want to get to know me better. I mean, there are some questions that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to address that. But there were a couple of questions about, you know, my relationship. Do I want kids or things like that. I mentioned my boyfriend Uti here and there. I don't really show him because he's not really into the whole social media thing, and this channel is not about relationship and things like that. It's really about me. But we've been together for a little bit. I think it's over 10 years now. I stopped counting. Kids, I'm going to skip that question for now. I'm not sure yet. There was also a question about financial advice. How do I save to buy a house? And how do I stay on track with like my financial goals? Not get distracted by all the advertisement and things that we see on social media. And I honestly think that I try to teach you guys, or not teach, but I try to show things in my videos that are very timeless, classic. Some things are pricey though, and I do love like luxury things. At the beginning of the year, I always make kind of a wish list of things that I want to get, and that's honestly what keeps me on track. At the beginning of this year, I wanted to get a pair of loafers, I wanted a new brown handbag, I wanted a new toothbrush that's a little bit more pricey, you know, things like that in different areas of my life. So fashion, but also home things, bigger like goals, like I want to renovate, not renovate, but one of our bathrooms in this house was delivered plain. So we still need to do that. So that's like one of the goals. And I want to make it like a whole spa kind of experience. So that's like a very pricey thing on my list. But those are the things that I like doing to keep me on track, because otherwise I'll get distracted with the newest trends, even though I don't really dive deep into the trends, but still there are like some it bags that I otherwise would get. And you know, when you look back, you're like, where did my money go? So I would say my best advice is to make a wish list like that. If you are a visual person, you can make it into like a vision board kind of thing. Also at the middle of the year, I evaluate. I'm like, okay, what are the things that I already got? What are the things that are still on the list? And are they still high on the list, or can I replace them for something else? All right, also a touchy, well, not a touchy, but another subject that's a little bit personal is what is my faith. And I have had like my fair share of encounters with different religions. So religion is not really something that I'm into anymore. Well, the journey was that my grandma was like pretty religious, like spiritual and stuff, and I love that. When I went to her house, we went to Bible studies, to church and things like that. So I would say that I got my spirituality mostly from her, because I wasn't baptized or anything like that as a baby. So my parents like didn't like give me a religion. So from my grandma, I got acquainted with, I think it's called Pentecostal, whatever religion like the big churches are, like Joel Osteen, TD Jakes, churches like that. So that's the religion that I went. After like going with my grandma, I started going on my own as well to a different church. I was like in a church choir. I was so involved. And then I switched because like some of my friends were Adventists. So that was a rough period in my life. I was just like trying to figure things out. Like in hindsight, I'm happy that I went through that phase. It really was a phase. My mom wasn't happy at all because she didn't agree with that religion at all. Was like very, very strict, and you can't do this, you can't do that. And now I really don't believe in that. Like, I don't follow any religions. I do believe in God. I do pray, but it's not like I don't go to church, and I don't think there is anything wrong with that. I think you have to do whatever works for you, whatever you believe in, you know, higher power, universe, God, whatever it is. I really believe in respecting everybody, what they believe in, and I don't try to impose my beliefs on anybody. Like, that's like the one thing that I really, really hated about going to church and these, you know, religious people that they think they are, you know, the best people in the world, and they know how you're supposed to live and all of this. And then, you know, when you look at their lives, it's like a whole shit show. Like, it's just so much hypocrisy in churches that I've been to different ones in Curacao in the US, here in the Netherlands just a little bit, not really, but just a few times. And I can't, like, I don't like the vibe. There's just a thing about it that I don't like. One thing that I do really like is like gospel music. I like have my own gospel bash here at home with like Israel New Breed, bands like that I love, because to me that's more, it's more spiritual. I don't look at their lives or whatever they're doing. I just take the music in and do with it whatever is comfortable to me, and I don't try to follow like one specific person, because we're all humans, we all have our flaws and all. It does not work for me. All right, I got a question about if I ever wanted to give up YouTube and what kept me going. It didn't get at that point with me, like it didn't get that bad, but I did question, like especially the corona years, because you know it was a little bit scary. I'm not going to lie, my content is about fashion and everybody was inside doing nothing, so I'm like, what is the point of me showing outfits when nobody is going outside? So then I pivoted a little bit, started doing loungewear content, that kind of thing. I don't know, it was just for a couple of months, so it didn't really take that long, and still like the full lockdown was just for a couple of weeks, if I can't even remember. But then, like, honestly, this sounds very cheesy and corny and all of that, but the comments that I get about people like telling me every single day, I get like a comment like that, like, finally I found someone who looks like me, like, finally I'm so happy that I discovered your channel. That's like comments that keeps me going, because it makes it like really what I said in the beginning. That was the reason why I started my channel, to bring more representation to YouTube, to social media in general, especially in the fashion industry or fashion content. So whenever I get comments like that, it lights that fire in me again, and like, that's exactly right. So it is like very challenging. I'm not going to like this YouTube thing. It does something with your mind. I try not to fixate on the analytics, and everyone says don't look at the analytics, but I mean, you have to look at the analytics. You have to figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Otherwise, what are you doing? It's a business, you know. When you have a business, it's the same. You have to look at your sales and what are the products that are going quicker, and try to optimize that. It's literally the same as running a business. If you don't treat it that way, it won't really take off, in my opinion. I mean, for some people that are a little bit lucky do it like that, it will. But in general, the majority of people that have like very successful YouTube channels and that have made a business out of it is because they have this business mindset. So you have to like be very strong when, you know, some months are like worse than others. There is so much fluctuation and everything, so much seasonality and everything, and you have to like prepare yourself mentally for that, financially for that, like with your content. You have to stay on top of things, on top of the trends, whatever everybody is talking about, whatever algorithm change, you have to stay keep track with that. So it is a lot, but because I love it so much, like, I'm not going to lie, like some days are like, oh my gosh, like I can't even see a screen for a couple of days. But in general, I still do it with so much passion and love that to me, it's like really worth it. And especially like comments that I get, people telling me how I empowered them, how, you know, they feel so much more confident now. Things like that really make my day. All right, in regards to my full-time job, what I do is I am a IT project manager at you can say a pharmaceutical organization, and I do like it. I do like the project manager side of me. It's what makes me so organized and structured, and that's why I can do, like, honestly, YouTube at this point is a full-time job. So I can manage like 2 full-time jobs because I'm so organized. Like, I plan my things to the T. And one thing that I have to learn is whenever like things don't go as planned, because not everything can go as planned, but whenever things don't go as planned, I have to learn to pivot a little bit quicker or adjust a little bit quicker. Like sometimes I keep lingering in the mindset of why did this go wrong, or what could I have done differently. Sometimes it's just not up to me, and I have to realize that a little bit quicker and then change and then replan, adjust, and move on. Where does my style inspiration come from? And my style inspiration comes from a lot of different people, and with the years also my style has changed. Like I went back to my roots, because when I started YouTube I was trying to keep up with the, with the latest trends and trying to just show you guys how the trends fit on someone with a body shape like me and skin color and things like that. But then I was like, this is not really truly who I am. Even though I really love that, it's not like something that's sustainable, and also it's not truly who I am. Like I remembered I was telling this in one of my videos that even when I was like at elementary school, I remember that I was the one that was wearing kind of the same clothes, not the same clothes. It's not that we weren't poor or anything like that. We're just middle class. But I remember like in comparison to some of my friends, I didn't have a closet full of clothes with, that feeling of having so many things but you don't know what to wear. I never had that. I only had like a couple of pieces that I really loved and that I wore like all the time. So at a certain point, like I think after like 2 years of doing YouTube, I was like, what am I doing? Like in my core, I am someone who has like a very timeless style. So then I decided to pivot a little bit and then really embrace that part of me. And at that point, it wasn't really as popular as now. Like now you really see the whole clean girl aesthetic, old money, blah 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 aesthetics, like really trending. When I decided to switch things up, it wasn't really that trendy. Even though it is a trend right now, timeless pieces will always be in style. And there are periods when things are a little bit more trendy than other times, but in general, if you have a good blazer, you have like your timeless pieces, you can always wear them. They will always look good. I also believe in having like a couple of solid pieces that you can wear over and over again. Now, don't get me wrong, because I create YouTube videos, I do have to have like more things than the average person, because I try to educate you guys and show you different things. And but for like a general person, average person that doesn't do fashion content as like one of their jobs, you only need like a couple of pieces, to be honest. And if you know like your style and you know what are the things that you really like, you get like a couple of solid pieces. And then every season, if you live in a place that has seasons, you get like 1 or 2 new things. You'll be good. Like you don't need a wardrobe full, exploding when you open it, full of things, because that's just not necessary. But I guess I didn't really answer the question, like who gives me style inspiration. I'll put a couple of pictures of people that inspire me when it comes to their style, and also brands, like even like home brands, or like furniture brands. There are some that really inspire me when it comes to like the aesthetic. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a clothing brand, just the calmness, the cleanliness of brands. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, this is like so satisfying and so like beautiful and well thought through and things like that. So I do get my inspiration from different places, from different people. And I just love looking at a good, aesthetically pleasing, curated space. All right, this is a very fun question. What's one lesson that your parents have taught you that has kept with you until this day? There are so many things, but there is like this one quote that I remember my mom telling me, like, don't live for tomorrow, what you can do today. Like there is a specific way of saying that in both Spanish and Papiamento. I think that's like one thing that I really love. Also, I don't know if you guys know Bozuma. She was at the CMO, I think, of Netflix. Followed like one of her courses. Her husband died of cancer, and one quote that she always says is live life urgently. And because I've had like a couple of things in my family happen as well with like health related, I'm like, I really, really love that. It's not supposed to be like, you know, doing things without thinking, really thinking things through, but really like urgently. Like don't sleep on things. Like if you feel like you have a calling or you have like a skill or you want to develop that or you want to go on a vacation with your family or by yourself, whatever it is, like if you have something that's really on your mind, on your heart, that you've been wanting to do, but you want to maybe, I don't know, go to school again, change careers, don't think about it too hard. Like, and this is like something that I have to keep reminding myself, because sometimes I can be in my head for too long. And so this is like one thing that I catch myself pretty frequently telling myself, no, let's live life urgently. Like, let's do this, let's enjoy right now. And that's pretty much what I had in mind when I started my YouTube channel as well. I was like, you know, F whatever people will think of me, what their opinions are, that my English is not like good or whatever it is. Like, F that. Like, I'm going to do this and we'll see what happens, you know. I'll learn while I go. I'll learn on the journey. And, you know, it's life is not that deep. Like, you know, like sometimes we take life too seriously and it's really not that deep. So I try to keep reminding myself that, to live life urgently and not live for tomorrow what I can do today. This is a question that I need advice from you guys as well. She's asking advice on how to make friends as an adult. I struggle with this. I'm not as good in this as I would like to be. And I also said in a previous video that I was telling this, like, it wasn't one of my vlogs. I remember that I was saying like, oh, this is an outfit to go out with the girlies, things like that. And I'm like, I don't have like girlies. Like, I have a couple of friends. Like, with a couple, I mean like one or two. And I've always been like that. I've never been someone with like a large group of friends. And it's like a little bit both ways. Like, it's not something that bothers me on the one hand, because I really do love like the one-on-one connection with people. I'm not very good with like a very large group of people with things. That's why I've never had really big birthday parties. That's not really my thing. Like, I love going to dinner like with one or two friends, having like that very more intimate conversations for hours and hours. That's what I love doing. On the other hand, sometimes I do feel like I'm too dependent on just a couple of friends. Like, if something were to happen with them or like with our relationship, I'm like, you know, I'm stuck with no friends. So that's like one of the things that, you know, whenever I am in this setting that to try to get to know new people, I really like do my best to put myself out there, to really follow up. Like, for example, from my previous job, I had like a very good connection with like two colleagues that I honestly almost consider them my friends. Like, because we were colleagues, I was trying to keep like that relationship a little bit more businessy. But now that we don't work together anymore, I'm like, you know, we can totally be friends. But it takes like energy to follow up, to, you know, look up what someone is doing, to build that relationship. And I feel like oftentimes I'm putting energy in people that don't really put energy back in me. So that's like a little bit iffy. So that's like a thing. And then recently I got like to know this beautiful friend that's like YouTube related, that we have this beautiful connection. So now I'm trying to put more energy into it to, to maintain that relationship, because just like with, if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, it doesn't go automatically. You have to pour yourself into it. Like, you not pour yourself into it, but you have to like invest a little bit in it. You have to take time out of your day to message someone. How are they doing? How was their day? Do you want to grab some coffee? Do you want to go out for dinner or whatever it is? Like, it takes energy, it takes time, it takes money. Like, let's not, of course, not everything has to be expensive, but even if you want to go grab coffee, grab dinner, of course, it goes out of your budget, right? So, and I have like this whole monthly budget thing that I do to keep track of my finances. So I'm like, okay, I'm only allowed like 2 dinners. So, like, in reality, that's how people live. If you want to be a little bit conscious about your spending, to be honest, when you have a good social life, it is expensive. You have to put like a little bit of effort and money into it. So that's like, I don't know if I really have an advice, but I would say what has been working for me to maintain the relationships that I do have, the like 2 solid ones, is to invest in them with time, with attention, and also like to go out and do stuff, like do activities every so often. And the last question, does your friends, family know about your channel? What are their opinions? Well, most of my friends and my family know about my YouTube channel, because like my name, like, it's not like a fake name. So and also at the beginning, one thing that I did to just erase the awkwardness was like tell my family that I do, like, that I started a YouTube channel, like not only my immediate family but also my extended family, like cousins and aunts and uncles and all of that. So when they see me on the internet, they don't think like, what is she doing? And that was like way in the beginning. Like, honestly, I don't even think they care. And it was just more for me, just to feel a little bit more comfortable. And in the beginning, like, I'm sure that people were thinking, yet another girl with like another blog and blah, blah, blah. But I always knew that for me, it was something long term, that I really wanted to build. And I know like what I'm capable of, how disciplined I am. So there were also a couple of questions about like, how do I deal with what people think of me and things like that. And I honestly, like, sometimes it does bother me, but most of the times I don't even think about it. Like, especially like people who don't, I don't get a lot of haters, and I'm very grateful for that. But there are like outfits that people will bash a little bit. Like, I do understand that you don't like every single outfit that I wear, and that's totally fine. But you don't have to bash my outfit. Like, if you don't like it, just don't comment. I don't understand why people feel the need to comment something negative. And but those are the comments that don't bother me. Comments that, or yeah, comments that bother me most, like from family that, think that they want to give you an advice, and sometimes friends as well. They want to give you an advice, but then, sometimes I feel a little bit, it's a little bit tricky, because I'm like, you have no idea what this business is like, and you can give people, I wouldn't say give me advice, I would say you can give me ideas and leave it like up to me what I do with it. But some people like give you advice like they know for sure, like, this is what you should be doing, and why don't you do this, why don't you do that, or, and I'm like, it doesn't really work like that. And also, like, people, family that really have no clue about like the monetization part of YouTube, like that it can actually be a job, and that they respect you for that. Like I still have to explain to family and friends, like, you know, it's my second job. It's not just a hobby at this point. Like it's actually something that I invest in, so I need to get a return as well. It's like just like going to a regular job, but this is like more fun, and it's not my fault that the job that I chose to do is fun. Like, you know, it's just not a conventional thing to do. So you have to, it's like fairly new still. So you have to explain it to people. They still like really don't understand sometimes. But my parents are like very supportive. Uti is also very supportive, and that's like the most important thing to me. And sometimes it's also up to me to explain a little bit better, you know, what I do, what is the process, what it takes, how many hours, you know, this is like the day that's for me to, you know, to be creative. So I need some space, like I need quietness, or I need to go to Amsterdam and shoot some content. Like that's like up to me to like explain it a little bit more. But at the same time, there are some people that like don't really care at all. So, and I don't care either. So yeah. So that was the whole Q&A. I really got some amazing questions. I couldn't like answer all of them in this video. I'll link like the previous ones that I did at the end of this video, so you can go back and watch like more about my origin story and things like that, because I don't want to keep repeating that, even though there are a lot of new people, but you can really get to know me better that way. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.